There we go. There we go. All right. Got to record it. Troopy will get all over me if I don't send her the thing loaded up to the YouTube. Well, I didn't really have a ton on the agenda tonight. I just had a couple of announcements. And then basically it was you guys, Melissa and Phoebe, giving your, just so you know, Phoebe, Melissa comes on every month and gives us an update on District 1 and so really it's your guys' show tonight. So if we blow through it, we can just go have dinner. The only updates that I just want to get on here are the updates to the 4120 North Federal in meetings past. That we've had years of discussion with them about a zone map amendment for that property from USUC1 to UMX3, and that zone map amendment hearing is going to be Monday, February 12th at 5:30. And there's a link on the agenda if anybody's interested in following along with that or participating in it's one that we agree with as the land use development. And they've really reached out for a long time and had a good neighbor agreement signed and everything. So they're trying to do their best for that property, and worked out some agreement with the neighbor and everything. And then the other update that Troopy wanted me to mention is the adopted near Northwest Denver plan, which I'm sure, Melissa, you have something to mention on that in your updates or whatever, that it got approved. But in the agenda, I did put a link in there to that if anybody's interested in looking at it, and also the pages that sort of more specifically refer to the 44th Avenue language that we were able to get into the NPI. And everybody was pretty proud that we were able to get that in there and work with Sung and all those guys to get that forward. So those are on page 191 of the near Northwest Denver plan, if anybody's interested. And the links are in the agenda. I think I kind of skipped over all the other procedural stuff we're supposed to do. But was there any other stuff, Pete? I know you're here. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up before we get into the
No,
reports?
I mean, the only reason why I'm here is because of the near Northwest plan being adopted by the city council. And now we get a transition industrial, Sunnyside industrial area into the Sunnyside Innovation District. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, keep me informed how that thing goes. I know you and I do chat quite a bit. So that was all I had. There wasn't anything really, any updates. There really wasn't that much more exciting from, planning and development, like any other notifications. There were a few sort of various requests, but nothing that really was with Sunnyside. So if you want, Melissa, you want to just go with yours first, and then we'll leave the rest of the time up for Phoebe?
Sure. I'm happy to do that.
Just
I'll just
throw you under the bus here and get you and I think hold on, advanced sharing options, I just made it so that all participants can share.
Fantastic. All right. So let me see if I can get this to work.
You do better with the slides than when I try to control them as I'm following through as you're speaking.
All right. Hold on one second here. I only have my PowerPoint up, so let me pull up a PDF. It'd just be easier to share the PDF than the PowerPoint. 1 second here.
Everybody ready for the snow?
Again?
Yeah, well, I don't feel like we've had that much this year. And I mean, we haven't had, we've had like what, 4 snows here where we've had to shovel, but they haven't been huge. I mean, that last one was kind of the biggest where it was heavy and wet, but
we needed that.
Yeah, we need the water. I was making sure I shoveled all the snow off the sidewalk onto my grass areas and in my flower beds. Just save as much of it as I could.
That's what I do.
Yeah, there was a lot of snow last week, at least where I live.
Yeah, I think we got about 4 or 5 inches in Sunnyside here.
Well, yeah, it wasn't so bad. The further west or east you got, the better off you were, essentially.
A couple of
I did
days
a
ago,
lot of
I saw the
traveling.
report was we could possibly get 18 inches here in Denver, but now that
What?
that was like Tuesday or something. The Channel 9 weather person said like there were two weather models and one said 18 and the other one said 2. So we'll see. And now I saw just today, they said 4 to 6. So they're going to come down in the middle.
All right, well,
So
let's see
anyway.
here. I'll go through these real quick. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you're up
Like,
and running.
around here? Perfect.
Yep.
So as you mentioned, Rod, we did pass the Near Northwest Area Plan. So we are quite excited and proud on that. It had, I think, only 3 people comment in any way, shape, or form, all positive at council, which is great, and not too many people showing up in any kind of opposition. You know, so first is the passage of the plan, and then becomes the implementation. So we will now be moving into the implementation phase of this and looking at how to implement some of the zoning and some of the changes, such as along 44th, the corridor there, to make sure it is a commercial corridor. So we look forward to that. We have the West 38th Avenue corridor study, which I won't go into that much because Phoebe is here. So she can do that, but there is a link on my slide. So please join us, of course, on the 15th. Less for you guys, just because you are a little further north, but if you travel to Safeway down south a bit over by Jefferson Park, there is the Federal Boulevard Pedestrian Safety Project. And, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt to drive on Federal as we get that taken care of, but there's some great changes, pedestrian changes, especially that are happening along 25th Avenue there for their little local business district and along Federal.
Cool.
So the landmark preservation design guidelines, they continue their updates. You know, we originally started looking at windows. We've moved on to looking at ADUs in, you know, historic districts and for landmark properties. So they're taking some feedback on that. They're going to have an in-person meeting on creating design guidelines for ADUs in historic districts and for landmark properties on February 27th at the Blair Caldwell African American Research Library in the 5 Points area. So, but assuming that you are unable to attend or you are not big on in-person, there will be some survey options later down the road. There is a community grant opportunity for anyone that is interested. So the Denver Park Trust has $75,000 available for community-led initiatives. So they're going to be awarding up to $5,000 for community-led, small-scale, high-impact park improvement projects. So, you know, you can see a little bit about the eligibility and how to apply. We have the residential rental property licensing. Obviously, that was supposed to have been done, hopefully, by anyone that has a rental property by January 1st of 2024. The city is looking into enforcement and fines. So assuming that you have not taken care of that, please start that process now. And then when we look to neighborhood specific, obviously we talked about the Near Northwest Area Plan, 38th Avenue corridor study, which Phoebe will talk about, and the Sunnyside ADUs. So as I've mentioned in the past, the councilwoman is looking to clean up some of the remaining portions of her districts that do not allow ADUs. So it's a portion of Berkeley and a portion of Sunnyside that do not allow ADUs. We are looking to rezone both of those at the same time. We are still submitting or taking feedback. So if anyone wants to take that survey that has not, please do. But we have submitted the application for that to Community Planning and Development. We have over 70% of people that have taken the survey, over 319 responses, were in favor of ADUs. So we do look forward to that. And that's pretty much what I have.
Wow, thank you. Short and sweet. Yeah, appreciate it. That's cool. That's cool. She's getting the you guys are getting the ADU thing kind of cleaned up.
Very excited about that.
Thanks for doing that. Okay. Well, let's just move on. Phoebe, if you'd like to do yours, we can call it a quick meeting tonight.
Sure. Well, hello. Thanks for having me. My name is Phoebe Fuchs. I am a city planner at the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, work for the City, County, and Denver. So I'm really just here to make sure that the Sunnyside neighborhood is aware of the West 38th Avenue corridor study, and really just wanted to connect with you all as community leaders to just make sure that you're aware of the project and that you can let your friends and neighbors in the community know that it's happening. So Tripsy has been really awesome to connect with so far, and she invited me to come here tonight just to kind of, like I just said, make sure you all are aware of the project. So I am just going to give a pretty quick spiel about what it is and then let you know how you can be more involved.
Perfect.
And I have some slides because sometimes it's just easier to look at something. And I'm not used to Zoom either, so give me a second. There
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Okay.
I'm slowly trying to migrate away from Zoom. I have one client left that still forces me to use it, but everybody else is using Teams like professionally.
Yeah, I will say, I don't know, the Teams like never can connect to my Bluetooth headphones, and I was actually pleasantly surprised when Zoom was willing to do that for me tonight. So
wow.
Anyway, okay, so here we are, West 38th Avenue corridor study. So an overview of this project, we are going to be looking at all of West 38th Avenue in Northwest Denver. So all the way from Sheridan Boulevard to the Fox and Park intersection down here. So obviously that touches the southernmost edge of Sunnyside neighborhood. The total budget for this project is about $400,000, which is pretty awesome for a planning project. A good amount of that came directly from your city council person. So kudos to her for kind of getting the funds in there to initiate this project. And then we've also pulled some funding from our DOTI programs to make it really robust. So all in all, the project will take about 14 months. We officially kicked off in December of 2023. And so we'll wrap up just at the end of 2024 with a little bit of project closeout in the beginning of 2025. So I'll talk through the biggest priorities for the project next. Obviously, safety is a big priority for this project for the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. We know there have been some recent fatal crashes on the corridor, and anybody who has traveled along here, whether you're driving or walking, you can kind of instantly recognize that it doesn't really feel like a safe place to travel. So we were actually able to add additional budget to the project to be able to design and implement some near-term safety solutions. So we're going to be going out there with a bunch of engineers and road safety professionals to do a very thorough analysis of the transportation operations along the corridor to kind of come up with some really quick things that we can do to solve safety issues. We are also going to be planning for future bus rapid transit on West 38th Avenue. You may have heard about bus rapid transit because the city is planning a bus rapid transit on East Colfax Avenue right now. What this kind of looks like, so for West 38th Avenue, bus rapid transit is coming down the line probably in a decade, so it's quite a ways out. But we'll kind of be looking at planning, like what does that look like in this context? Like how can transit be more useful to the folks that take transit and travel along West 38th Avenue? We'll also be looking at green infrastructure. West 38th Avenue has been recognized for, identified for green infrastructure improvements. So that's really great, just making sure that we are figuring out the space and what we need in order to include more green infrastructure along the corridor. And what I know green infrastructure is a weird term, but basically what that means is street trees, opportunities to help with drainage. I know we have some pretty serious flooding on West 38th Avenue. And then also, this infrastructure can help cool the corridor down and make it a more pleasant place just for pedestrians and people to be. So finally, another big project priority is there has been a lot of planning related to West 38th Avenue, as you all probably know, especially with the near northwest area plan just wrapping up. And almost always West 38th Avenue is labeled for like, it needs further study. So the goal here is that this is the further study. And my goal as the project manager is to be able to conclude the project without having to do like another plan or another study. We really want to come out of this with a really clear vision for what the future of this corridor looks like, that the community helps us build, and we can get started on getting some stuff built and getting some changes out there that make it work better for everyone. A little bit more here about our city goals and objectives. I won't go really in depth here, but basically making sure we're checking all the boxes for our citywide goals and objectives. So the study process will start out collaborating with the community, working on that vision. Next step here is just doing a lot of analysis and data collection to better understand the challenges and opportunities. And then finally, we will land with both near and long-term recommendations for West 38th Avenue. So like I said, really excited that we'll be able to take some of those near-term recommendations closer to the finish line. And then this is the project timeline. The graphic got a little messed up. But like I said, we kicked off just at the end of last year. And so we are doing our first community outreach phase right now. We have our public meeting next week, which you are all invited to, and I'll share more information about in a minute. We will have another community outreach phase as we're working on our recommendations, trying to figure out a little bit of back and forth of what do we really want to have going on here. And then as we get closer to finalizing, we will have another community outreach phase around in the fall. And I think that is all I had. So happy to discuss anything or just answer questions, but really just want to make you all aware that we have our community meeting coming up next week, which you're all invited to, and we can definitely dive more into the study at that point in time.
I had a quick question. Most of this stuff that you addressed tonight seems to deal with mostly like the multimodal different types of transportation and safety along the corridor. Mm-hmm. During this study, how does it tie back into like the MPI? In this study, are you guys going to be looking at like, say, the 15-minute walkable neighborhood idea of making sure we maintain businesses in the community? I mean, 38th corridor to me is sort of a sister corridor as far as Sunnyside goes to 44th, because that's our other corridor where there's businesses and shops. And, you know, it's in between the two becomes our 15-minute walkable, distance. Is that going to be considered in the study, like zoning and usage and all of that as it goes along the corridor?
Yeah, so we're actually not going to be like making any new analysis or recommendations related to land use and zoning. And the reason for that is like, you know, we could do so many things with any project that we do. And with this project, we're just really trying to focus on some of the transportation challenges. And we also did have the near northwest area plan that just kind of came through and did a look at some more like land use related things and themes. So we'll certainly be collecting
those issues in NPI will be considered in the study in collaboration with what you guys are really working on, the safety and transportation sides of things as well, correct?
Sure. So are you asking like if we'll be taking into account the recommendations that came out of near northwest area plan?
Yes, like encouraging, you know, street front activity and all of those things will be part of your infrastructure planning for the corridor and circulation through there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because some of those sidewalks on the south side, walking along in front of some of those businesses, like even right here, just east of Federal, are almost impassable when, you know, because they're so narrow, but there's a lot of shop fronts along there, and the snow plows just push the snow and pretty much cover the sidewalk because it's
Yeah.
not a very big pedestrian thoroughfare through there.
Yeah, we're doing a pretty in-depth sidewalk analysis to try and understand, like, okay, what would it actually take to widen sidewalks on 38th, because they are really narrow. And, you know, when you think realistically about it, it's like, we're not gonna be like building into people's front yards. So knowing that like the sidewalks, wider sidewalks is a really big need for 38th, and I don't know, it really just has so many needs, like green infrastructure,
Right.
bike facilities. Actually, there's been a recommendation in Denver Moves Bikes for bike facilities on 38th. Means wider sidewalks. It carries a lot of people. There's a lot of traffic, and we also have a vision to make it more of an enhanced transit corridor. So we're kind of going to take a very realistic look, like, hey, like, how could we really fit all these things? Like, we can't create more space than what's already out there. So we'll be like doing the technical analysis to figure out, like, okay, how could everything fit? And then working with the community to navigate like trade-offs, because, you know, it's going to be hard to like make everybody happy and make it all fit, but we want to, like, you know, come up with something that works best for everyone.
Yeah, because it's the proverbial 10 pounds of you know what in a 5-pound bag along there, because there's already fairly close setbacks on that south side of 38th, at least from the interstate to Federal. It gets a little better as you get on the other side of Federal going west, but then narrows down again, and there's some jogs in the setbacks that actually, if I remember correctly, the setbacks are actually into the public right of way on some of those multifamily developments down there near Irving.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, the setbacks are
Down by
actually
Irving.
over the sidewalk, so they were allowed to do balconies that actually overhung the sidewalk. So
Yeah. Yes, I
um,
know what you're talking about. And that was actually brought up to me when we were like starting to scope this project a while ago. Like, is there something we need to change in the zoning code so that we aren't building things like this anymore? Because it's super weird. And talked to my friends over in community planning and development, and they let me know that that particular type of design is something that probably couldn't get built anymore with like our new zoning code. And you know, it's just a bummer that things like that were built and do feel like recent development. But hopefully, you know, with our new zoning code, we don't see that happen anymore.
yeah. Well, I think some of the initial ones, if I understood correctly, people just didn't realize where the property boundaries were in relation to the existing sidewalks and street, and then it was all approved before somebody really realized the exact layout of where, like, meaning
Oh,
somebody didn't
interesting.
pay attention on the plans that, you know, and the developer was within their boundaries and met all the conforming setbacks to where, but the roads weren't built in relation to where the boundary lines were on the property. So
Right. Yeah, like
that's how they overhung.
if you look at like the right of way edge on a map all along 38th, it just like zigzags and bounces back
Yeah.
and forth.
Yeah, there was little
So
jogs and stuff. So, well, good luck,
mhm.
because that's a lot to put into that corridor, and not get a lot of pushback. I mean, because something's going to have to be sacrificed. I mean, you're not going to be able to maintain 2 lanes both ways, which personally I believe would be better, because that place is 45 mile an hour. You know, sometimes people drive, you know, because it is such a wide thoroughfare. They feel like they can go that fast. So,
Yep.
well, thank you so much for the presentation. I don't know if Pete has any questions, or
No.
Melissa for that matter.
Nope.
And I'll just say this because people may watch this later on, that I will put Phoebe's presentation into the folder for tonight's agenda. So if anybody wants to go back and review it, it'll be there. I will, Phoebe, do you mind? I'll put your contact email in the agenda as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, and if do you have it in your packet here? Like if people want to participate, or I don't have it up. Where's a good place for people to read? Oh, just your email at the end there. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll put
I
that
did
in
just
there.
put a link to our project webpage in the chat, and then the information about the public meeting. But I can also put that in the slide. Like, let me resend you the slides with that in there, just because I don't want somebody to miss it.
Yep,
If that's
absolutely.
okay.
That'd be
Okay,
great.
I'll do
Yeah,
that.
just so if people have a place to go and they can look up stuff and follow along. That sort of
Yeah.
thing. Perfect. Well, that was short and sweet tonight. Phoebe, thanks for filling up some of the time, so it was more than just the three of us.
Sure thing.
I appreciate the info, and I'd like to have you back. If you have any major updates or anything, just reach out to me and let me know, and I'd love to have you back. And hopefully, I mean, Troopy and I are trying to figure out how we can get some more engagement here with the community. It seems to have petered out after we finished the CO7 and CO8 overlays. A lot of the involvement sort of tapered off. So
Well, something new will always come up.
yeah. Well, I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm hoping this 38th corridor thing inspires people to get more involved, just because it affects 4 distinct neighborhoods pretty intensively. And is going to guide all 4 of these neighborhoods long into the future. So hopefully people will get involved with something like that. And we are talking about trying to find in-person meetings again. Maybe like a hybrid style thing where every other meeting or something might be in person. So maybe people will resonate with that. Sorry, Peter.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the big things that's a problem with 38 is when you're coming off of I-25 there and you're going west on 38 and you need to go under the train tracks.
Well, that's what
That's
Phoebe
the
was referring
area.
to when it's flooded. I mean, my building was off
Yep.
Eladi down there for 14 years. I owned that building there and commuted to work every day and had to go underneath that. And they've been struggling with that, Pete, for decades about what to do.
Oh yeah. And it's because of the train tracks. I mean,
and now
the train guys,
light rail tracks too, and there's a pedestrian bridge. There's so much overhead infrastructure with that underpass. It's a challenge,
and it's so dangerous. I mean, the other day I was going to the property and I was just like, I was just really bummed out because there was this guy in a wheelchair and he was trying to navigate it, and I was like, oh, you poor bastard.
Well,
so I'm just saying, there's a lot of things we need to work on. Yep.
When you come underneath that, there's a jog right there before you get to Chubby's, where the street takes a quick jog. Yep. I can't tell you how many people I've seen flatten tires on that curb, because they turn too soon, and it's a pretty sharp curb. It's not like well rounded. And then they pull over on that first street. I forget which one that is in there, and they're fixing the tire. Yeah, they're fixing their tire right there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of issues that we need to address so that we can help everyone, have a, to live in a better community, to strengthen the community. So that's the whole goal of what we're doing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the flooding issues at the underpass have been like long overdue to be addressed, and so like there's supposed to be like a major stormwater infrastructure project that'll fix some of those issues, but it's going to involve like having to rebuild the whole thing eventually at some point. It's like something that the city like it's going to need to happen, or else like something's going to break. And so one of the reasons why we want to get in and do our like planning now is so that when that does happen and some big project comes in and fix all the stormwater pipes, we have the plan to be like, well, hey, we want really wide sidewalks here, and we need to make sure that there's like a bike connection and a way for people to get from these streets here. So I know it kind of feels like big stuff and like how does it all fit together, but part of the reason is like when these big stormwater projects happen, we try to get a couple years ahead of them so that we can be like, hey, we talked to the community and this is what they want here. So
that area couples with somebody's vision, what they're going to have to do for the Fox Island area and re-envisioning the clover leaves and the exits, and it's all so close there. It's all got to be envisioned together, tied together.
One of the things that was the city and county of Denver proposed was to have a big park in that area where the rail spurs are, And what John is proposing is that we make a nice park amphitheater there. It's also the
Oh,
stormwater sewer
you're
basin.
talking up near your end of the,
Yeah, 46.
yeah,
And then
46.
make 46 all, because I mean, I've seen the plans for the sewer lines, and I mean it. About 10 years ago, it was I think it was over. They had broken it out into like A to K, and it was like over 200 million for all the systems to be redone. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, that Sunnyside's been marginalized for a long, long time, and it's time to get it fixed. So,
Well, and truly that's a critical point too, because that is one of the major thoroughfares and entrances into the neighborhood and community, this side of the interstate. And so
yep.
making sure we get that right is important for all four of the neighborhoods, because that really is the sort of front door from downtown, so to speak. I mean, I guess other people consider Spear also one other thoroughfare, but I always have felt 38th is more of a connection for the neighborhoods than Spear actually is. So,
Well, if you take Inca down and do that bike path, once you get south under I-25, you're in downtown Denver. I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty cool how, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do to make it all very connective.
No, it pops out there pretty quick. Yeah, I've taken that bike path a lot. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. I won't keep you
Who's
any
winning the
further
Super
unless you have
Bowl?
another item.
Just who's winning the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
or
I
who
have no idea.
cares?
I don't no, I don't care. All my wife wants to
Yeah.
do is like, hopefully they show pictures of Taylor Swift. So
I'm just excited
I
for
think
the
it's
food.
funny.
it was whatever. So, well,
Yeah,
thank you again, everybody, and I appreciate the time.
You too.
Phoebe, thanks for taking time out of your evening with us, and we'll see you guys down the road.
See you next
Thanks, Rod.
month.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rod.
Bye.
Bye.